That's it. I don't even care anymore. We got the Hulkster in this bitch, so it's done. I don't have any more time, so let me just recap right now. It's Brainy Gremlin, Spider Gremlin, Bat Gremlin, Lady Gremlin, Googly Eye Gremlin, Electricity Gremlin. Hulk Hogan's gonna be in the bitch. I'm gonna throw in a Gremlin myself. Vegetable Gremlin. Just right up. I'm having so much fun. Thank you. It's all gonna be in the actual film. Now I gotta put some cowboys in Back to the Future 3. Sayonara, y'all. Okay, so that quote is just about the only thing that isn't in Gremlins 2. But before we start, if you do get a chance, check out the Key and Peele sketch and the writing room for Gremlins 2, which I suspect is actually far closer to the truth than we dare believe. Anyway, I'm Liam, he's Rob, and this week on the Hey Guys podcast, we are looking back at one of the strangest, most ludicrously meta sequels of all time. After the huge success of the original in 1984, it was no surprise that a sequel was greenlit. What was a surprise was that it took 6 years to make it to screens. After the original director, Joe Dante, decided that Gremlins didn't need a sequel, Warner Brothers pushed on, but after numerous directors passed and everyone involved agreed that sending the Gremlins to Mars was probably a bad idea, they went back to Dante with a big sack of money and the promise of full creative control. So what happens when you give a director carte blanche to make a sequel he doesn't want to make? Well, you end up with Gremlins 2, a movie keener to parody the series, the studio, and the very nature of developing sequels than it is providing a genuine follow-up to the beloved original. Oh, and it also parodies The Wizard of Oz, Marathon Man, The Phantom of the Opera, and yes, Frozen Yogurt, just good measure, I suppose. If that all sounds insane, it's because it is. So, Rob, is Gremlins 2 good? Is it bad? Or is it just too weird to truly pin down?
It's too weird to truly pin down. It's I use this term a lot, but it seems to work with this film. It's batshit crazy.
Oh,
It is.
without question.
It's not even throw shit to the wall and see what sticks. It's throw everything at the wall, and whether it sticks or not, we're using it.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
it's like if it doesn't stick, we're gonna glue that shit to the wall. It's all
yeah,
going up.
you started the quote, and I was like, hang on, that wasn't in the film. And then instantly, I'm like, oh, Key and Peele, I like it. Choice, by the way, I love that quote. I love that sketch because as you said, that is probably frighteningly what happened.
Frighteningly close to the truth.
Thank you.
There we
Thank you,
go.
Liam. Yes, absolutely. I can imagine. Well, I mean, also, and oh no, actually, 1990 odd cocaine.
I think it's still hanging round. Although it is interesting when you watch this film, the whole 1919 of, and it shows you just how quickly on an aesthetic level, the 80s just ended because this is 1990 and it would have been made largely in 1989.
89,
But
yeah.
when you watch this film, you're like, it looks like a 90s movie.
Oh,
And it's
absolutely.
you
It
think
is.
this like the 80s, we think of the 80s and we always try and like pin it down to like a decade. But from a cultural standpoint, the 80s is actually pretty short. It's really, and I know this isn't perfect science, but it's really from like 83 to like 88 at a stretch. The 90s started kind of sneaking into popular culture as early as like 87, but by 1990 the 90s are already up and running and you can really see it in this movie.
Yeah, and this movie, this has yuppie written all over it. Fucking Daniel Clamp, John Glover as Daniel Clamp.
Mhm.
I still don't know if I meant to trust him. Like, is he just the guy who just wants his name everywhere and he's actually quite naive, or does he have a sinister
No,
underplot about it? But
I think the way you put it initially is absolutely bang on. When I was first watching it, and I hadn't seen this movie for ages, and I get it. The whole Clamp is supposed to be like Trump, and like you say, he's got Clamp Towers and Trump Towers and all
yeah,
that other jazz. And at first, it seems really sinister because his building, Clamp Tower, actually has more than a touch of the RoboCop OCP building.
yeah,
And you're like, oh, this actually feels almost like quite fascist in the way it's designed. But the more the movie goes on, the more you're just like, I think he's just a bit of a naive idiot. Like he's an optimist. And obviously, these sinister things are happening in the building, but it's really being driven by Forster, if anything else. But then I was
yeah.
like, I don't think Forster's necessarily a bad guy. I think he's just a cowardly exec who's a little bit too eager to please the boss. So by the end of the film, I'm like, I don't even think there is a genuine bad guy because even by the end, you're a little sad to see the Gremlins go, but it's just that kind of movie.
You know who the bad guy is? It's Gizmo.
Gizmo, you're going to blame Gizmo? Oh my
Well,
goodness.
you got like if if such a cute thing causes that many issues,
Good point. Good point.
would you actually take it upon yourself to actually introduce it into your life again? Because I'm not too sure. Again, it's cute, it's lovely.
Very cute. Super
Close
cute.
your eyes while you put him in a sack. I would say drown him in water, but that's not going to fucking happen, is it? Because as soon as he touches water, yeah,
That is literally the worst plan of all time. Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
I'm gonna drown Gizmo in fried chicken at 2 a.m. See if that works.
I wouldn't even know how to get rid of him because whatever happens, I mean, leave him
Shotgun.
in sunlight. I guess is he going to burn?
Yes, sunlight would absolutely
Yeah,
be fine. Yeah. The thing is, right? That sounds quite evil. It's like immediately you're like, oh well, I want to kill Gizmo. Make no mistake. As soon as Gizmo shows up in this film, and one of the weirdest things about this film, upon revisiting it, is that Gizmo is hardly in it, which is
yeah,
insane. It's
yeah.
like he shows up for like 5 minutes, then disappears for the next 35 minutes, and then shows up again for the last 10 minutes. And even then, he only really gets his little Rambo cameo, but he's hardly in the movie. But one of the scripts that, because I mentioned in the intro that there was a bunch of other directors involved and they were going to go in a bunch of different directions. One of the drafts was a much darker take because, let's not forget the original was a horror film at heart.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be about the idea that the gremlins getting out of control and you've got to kill the source. The only way to deal with the gremlins is to kill the source, which is Gizmo. So yeah, one of the scriptwriters was totally on board with you there, and we could have had a very different movie, Rob's movie, where it's just the hunt for Gizmo.
I mean, yeah, he's cute, but my God, he causes a lot of trouble, like a lot of trouble.
He gets drenched immediately.
He's actively looking for water. Oh, the guy
Yeah.
that drenched him as well. I never noticed. That was Gomez. That's John Astin,
Yeah,
original
John,
Gomez.
who's still knocking about, 95 years old. That's Sean Austin's stepfather, isn't it? Gomez
The
Adams.
actual father, I thought.
I thought it was his stepfather. I might
Well,
be wrong.
his father figure, let's say.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, his father.
but
That's
oh,
fine.
like again, when I was watching this, I was like, fucking hell. Joe Dante is using a lot of his favorites in random little
Tons of classic 80s
yeah.
character
So
actors in
you
this.
get we've mentioned his name before, and I'm Rick Ducommun as the security
Yeah,
guard,
yeah.
right? But
The,
then
the surprisingly well-armed security guard, yeah. Yeah.
another one that I've never noticed until this, Forster
Hmm.
fires a guy who's taking an unauthorized break.
Yeah, yeah.
That's Time Winters, who
Hmm.
was in the Burbs. He was the head of the household in the
Yeah, yeah.
Burbs, of the evil house.
He was the doctor.
Yeah. And it's just like a fucking like that guy shows up in like I want to say everything of the 80s and early 90s. And he's just
Hmm.
like you don't even see him properly. You see him on video camera.
Yeah, it's just one of the, again, it's just this film is so of its time. It has Henry Gibson in it as Richter Common. Henry Gibson, Richter Common from the Burbs. Bubba Smith is in it very briefly. John Austin, you already mentioned. Christopher Lee, Hulk Hogan, John Glover, Robert Prosky, Robert Picardo. The cast for this film is just weird, but it never feels weird because it's such a bonkers movie. By the time Hulk Hogan shows up and breaks the fourth wall,
Oh,
there's so many odd things which have already happened, and I know you don't like Hulk Hogan. If we move beyond that and just like how weird it is that
yeah.
he basically breaks the fourth wall twice, because he breaks the fourth wall because it's actually a cool sequence in and of itself where all of a sudden the movie stops because the Gremlins are fucking around with a projector. There's actually a different sequence if you watch it at home back in the day. If you got it on VHS, it was like a VHS version, and it cut to I think it was a John Wayne movie, but suddenly it cuts to Hulk Hogan breaking the fourth wall because he's watching it in the cinema. So he tells the Gremlins to stop fucking around, tears off his shirt, does the whole Hulk Hogan thing, but then breaks the fourth wall again by speaking to you directly. So it's just like, how many rules are there in this film? Are there any rules? I don't think so. You have the bit with the movie critic, a real movie critic, who's literally reading his review of the first movie during this movie while holding a cassette case for Gremlins. How does that exist in this world? It doesn't make any sense.
How much do you think they paid him for that? Because he slagged off the first one. He's like, yeah, I'll come back for Gremlins 2 because I had fun with the first one. Like, okay.
I mean, it's a cool thing to like put. I think his name's Leonard Maltin. He was a famous movie critic in the 80s, and just being like, oh, I think maybe Leonard Maltin, everyone can have fun with it because he wrote a scathing review for a film which is now beloved and obviously did really well. So it was kind of like a no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
But even in a film as weird as this, that breaks so many of the rules in the movie. But let's not forget, before we get carried away, this is a movie that starts with a Looney Tunes sketch. It's they brought the original artist Chuck Jones out of retirement to do it. It's actually a really cool sketch. The original version was much longer than what you see on screen, but it really does set you up for like, all right, what kind of movie am I watching here? And to be honest, regardless of whether you think it's good, bad, I'm still not 100% sure how I feel about this film. It is, without question, one of the weirdest and craziest mainstream sequels of all time. The only thing I could think that was truly comparable was oddly The Matrix Resurrections. I'm not sure if you saw the fourth Matrix film.
The recent one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I did. That's insane as well.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we're talking. Lana Wachowski basically made a film which was sending up the Matrix franchise, and it was another situation where she was like, "Oh, I don't want to make another Matrix sequel," but they're like, "Well, we're going to make this without you." So she made one begrudgingly, and you end up with this weird meta version of the Matrix, which is already a pretty meta universe anyway. But I was like, Return to Oz was a pretty mental sequel to Wizard of
Yeah.
Oz. It's super dark if you've never seen it.
The one with Firuza Balk, yeah?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which we really should do on this podcast, is like,
Mm-hmm.
very different from the other Halloween films. I guess in one of the ones which came to mind, and stick with me on this, is retrospectively, First Blood Part 2 is actually
Okay.
an absolutely mental sequel when you consider the first one. So we've done First Blood Part 1. We should do First Blood Part 2. But First Blood Part 1 is basically what war does to a man, war is hell, all that jazz. And then First Blood Part 2 is war is fucking awesome. It's like the true 80s version of Rambo. It's such a different movie.
We've even done Rambo 3.
I know. Why haven't we done Rambo First Blood Part 2? So strange.
The going back to the film as well, you said like
Mhm.
this film is insane. What I like as well is yes, this film is insane, but in order to like show a lot of the insanity, we're gonna make the building insane because this building has everything. I'm pretty sure probably has apartments or flats at some point because you've got a gym in there with the frozen yogurt, as you've said, and
Mhm.
like the health thing. There's a TV station in there.
Mhm.
There's scientists conducting all sorts of experiments. And
Genetic experiments, yeah.
did you mention Christopher Lee when you said about all the people being in
I
this film?
said Christopher Lee's in it,
Okay.
yeah, but
So
obviously
Christopher
not.
Lee's in it. Christopher Lee says one of the best lines of the entire movie, probably one of the best lines of 1990. We can't let them get away. All they'll have to do is eat 3 or 4 children, and it'd be the most appalling publicity.
Well, that's the thing. It's strange that Christopher Lee is in this. It's strange that they've got a genetic lab just in
Yeah.
the middle of a high rise in the center of New York. But because the actors involved, it kind of works. And there's a reason that this building is so insane. I think it's because the original script had the movie in New York, but had the Gremlins going around New York. And they
Yeah.
just looked at it and went, this is just too expensive. So, like, oh, how about we basically put all of New York in one building and just turn it into a fucking funhouse? And that's what they've done. And I'm not sure I certainly had this when I was younger. If it wasn't for Billy and Kate, that's the girlfriend's name, yeah?
Yeah,
Kate?
yeah.
Yeah.
Kate, yeah.
If it wasn't for Billy and Kate being in this film, I always kind of assumed that this movie was set in the future, i.e., the future from 1990. It's only
Yeah.
because they look the same. You're like, well, this must be set in 1990 because it's not just a weird building. It's clearly a building from the future. It's very bizarre.
It is very, very bizarre. I love everything about like the building has its own tour guides.
Yeah.
Randomly, I'll just come and see the clamp tour
They
guide.
do have
Okay.
that in America, though. Like if you go to like
Do
the
they?
Empire State Building, you can do a tour
Yeah,
of the building.
I appreciate the Empire State Building.
Yeah, I know it doesn't
No, I
have the
just-
history, I guess. Yeah,
No, it just feels very weird.
yeah.
I tell you what was weird, and it must be my age, because I didn't like her at all when I watched this when I was growing up. But I kind of had a thing for Marla this time around. I don't know what it was.
Marla's entire character arc is just her being just keen as fuck. She is
Yeah.
thirsty for Dick and the corporate ladder apparently. But that's
the
a whole
corporate
shit.
ladder, yeah.
The only
She'll,
thing, right,
she'll get on
there are
that ladder however she can.
There are 3 things in this movie which are distinctly 90s. Marla's hair, fuck knows what color it is. I just refer to as she looks like she's at the B-52s, which I think of as
Yeah.
being in quintessentially 90s band. Ashtrays everywhere. This series is oddly obsessed with ashtrays. There's a lot of ashtray chat in the Gremlin series, and an abundance of TVs. It all started with Tim Burton and Batman in '89, and it just became a thing for a while. It was just like, how do we convey technological advancement in 1990. We just do it by having tons of fucking TVs, and they're all over this movie, all over Clamp Towers. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
But you mentioned,
Go,
sorry, just what it's in my
no, go
head.
on, go on.
You mentioned like, we're going to say numerous times during this podcast how bizarre this film is. One of the oddest sequences actually happens at the start. So you think, oh, it's going to be the Looney Tunes seconds. No, no. Once you get past the Looney Tunes and the movie starts, I guess what you would say proper. I was watching it and I'm like, why is the opening sequence shot like a fucking action movie?
Do you know why?
Yes, I do know why, and it's amazing. You go for it.
Okay, because it's stock footage from Superman 4: The Quest for Peace.
I didn't know that when I was watching it. I was like, why does this feel like it's from a different fucking genre of movie? It's because it is.
Yeah.
It's from Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, and it is insane.
I had the exact same thing. I was like, well, this doesn't feel like what I just saw. Like, what's going on with this?
No, you go directly from that goofy ass, Looney Tunes opening, which, like I said, is fun, but it's goofy as fuck. And then all of a sudden, you're getting this big, grand, sweeping shot over the city, which goes down onto the street. I was like, Jesus Christ, what movie is this from? Oh yeah, it's not from this movie. It's from Superman. They've just added it in because it was available. So why not? I suppose.
Again, I'm talking about the opening. We're getting the opening. And then we go into Mr. Wingshop, who actually has a name in this one, because in the first film, he was just called Grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at him and going, well, where do I recognize him from? Yes, I know I recognize him from number one. But where do I recognize him from? And it's from a film that we've done not too long ago. Mm-hmm. He was Mr. Thule in Dead Heat.
Was he really?
Yeah, he was like the butcher's guy. Do you remember Toru Tanaka as the butcher?
Yeah,
well, he was the only other Asian guy in that film.
By the way, if you're going, what's Dead Heat? You should, one, go watch Dead Heat, and two, then go listen to our podcast on Dead Heat, because it is loads of fucking fun. If we're just keeping on the kind of general theme of batshit crazy movies, Dead Heat sits right in there, that's for sure.
And Dead Heat is another one, because we've done it quite a lot. We've always confused Christopher Lee with Vincent Price.
Oh, yeah, famously.
And Vincent Price is in Dead Heat, and Christopher Lee's in this film. So that's going to fucking confuse the fuck out of me already.
It's unbelievable. The thing is, they don't even look the same. It's just the names for some reason. Yeah. And I just associate them with a certain era of horror.
For us, because, they're like the Hammer horror guys.
Yeah.
So we're always confused them both. But the other, what I loved is a strong one. But I did, like, I've always said I've had an issue with this, because this film is totally not Gremlins 1. Not at all.
No, as you've said, it's the antithesis of Gremlins 1, for sure.
The Key and Peele sketch says it perfectly, and we'll go back to that a couple of times. We might even have to share that sketch. But the Key and Peele sketch says it perfectly. When he turns around and goes, this is a done deal. This is absolute. All we got to do is keep mentioning the water, keep it in the small, do this. And then fucking Hollywood from Mannequin shows up and changes everything. But I love the fact that it was just like there was no boundaries. And I didn't even think about it, but you might be right. Joe Dante might have just said, I've told them no for ages. They've just they've opened the dump truck full of fucking cash at me. Let's just
that's exactly what happened. Yeah. And like you said, he's basically, like I said, he's not happy with the system. He's not happy with the idea that he wants to, they're demanding a sequel for this film. So he's sending up, like I said, the industry, the business, the corporate culture, which you can see all over Clamp Towers, obviously. But the surprising thing is that it goes so hard after the first film. And it is like, if it was more successful, this would be what Aliens was to Alien. It's only because it works, we don't question it. It's like the idea of taking a film where you have one alien and it's just like this claustrophobic horror. And it's like, oh, well, how about we just have tons of fucking aliens and we do that instead? It's kind of like that, but only this doesn't work as well. It just doesn't feel like a natural continuation of the story at all. It feels like a comic book version of the first film. And one of my biggest issues with this film, and like you said, it is still fun, and it's hard not to completely recommend because there's so many enjoyable sequences, even if it doesn't totally work as a film. But what does get lost is the sense of horror. And it's easy to forget when, because everyone thinks of the first film and you think of Gizmo and all this other things. And, we all probably watched it when we were a bit too young. But if you go back and watch that film, the way it's shot like a horror film for the most part. And like, it does have funny moments because you have these cute creatures and stuff. But you think of like the sequence with Billy's mum in the kitchen, that's like a straight out of a horror film. It's like something out of Critters more than it is.
They killed the old woman by fucking souping up her stair lift thing until it
Stairmat. Yeah,
went.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of
That's
people like die in that film, and it's all pretty dark. This film is, yeah, it's the goofy strip. Like you think of like going from like Ghostbusters to the real Ghostbusters.
yeah.
But it just feels like the live act. It's like if they made go if the sequel to Ghostbusters was the real Ghostbusters, but it happened to be live action. That's kind of what you're getting with Gremlins too.
This is ET and the ET cut where they had the guns and they replaced them with walkie talkies. That's basically Gremlins and Gremlins too. Like
Yeah, but at
Gremlins
the
is
end
the
of the film, E.T. breaks the fourth wall and the Ultimate Warrior shows up. And what the fuck's
yeah.
going on here?
What I
Absolutely insane.
like this entire because you said you're right. As much damage as they've caused, they haven't killed a single person in this film in Gremlins 2. I can't think of a single person that's died.
I don't think anyone does, other than all
No,
the gremlins at the end when you have that weird thing with the electric shock gremlin. But in terms of actual people, wait, does the
no,
spider gremlin kill any of the security guards?
no.
No, I don't think he do they?
You thank you for mentioning because that's another one because the Spider Gremlin was a gremlin called I think Mohawk who was meant to look like Spike
Yeah, yeah.
from the first film, and they missed out on something absolutely fantastic because you turn the meanest looking gremlin anyway in Mohawk
Mhm.
into a spider gremlin
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you get him for 30 seconds and Gizmo kills him.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's like on paper, and actually, no, not just on paper, for those 30 seconds, it's exactly what I was talking about then and what's missing from the film. It's the closest we get from a tonal perspective to what we got in the first film is that sequence with the spider gremlin. When all of a sudden you're just like, oh, this actually feels close to horror. But it's over so quickly and wasted so immediately. You're just like, that he should have been the star of the show. But of course, they're so keen to shift the focus and the tone back, they go straight from Spider Gremlin right back to Brainy Gremlin. Now, again, for all my criticism, I kind of love Brainy Gremlin, but I'd love a film where most of it was much darker and a lot more violence, and then Brainy Gremlin kind of came in for a bit of comedic,
Yeah.
sustenance, I suppose, for lack of a better term.
I'm all right with Brainy Gremlin. I'm all right with Spider Gremlin. I'm even all right with Vegetable Medley Gremlin, Female Gremlin. I'm all right with a lot of these. Gargoyle Gremlin, who does the bat symbol as he flies out the window. I'm sounding like fucking Hollywood from the writers' room now.
Yeah.
But I can't get on board with how they turn a gremlin into electricity and trap him in the phone lines.
Yeah, it's kind of what the end of the film is predicated on. It's absolutely nonsense. Although let's be clear, this whole movie is predicated on the idea that Billy and Kate just so happen to work in the building where Gizmo is taken to. Now, these scientists, for a start, so they just happen to have a genetics lab in the building. All right, we'll let that go. It just happens to be the building where Billy and Kate work. And it also, these scientists are stupid enough that they have clearly found a new species, a hyper intelligent new species, and they're just like, oh, we'll just keep it in the lab. We won't make a big deal out of this. It's absolute cobblers. But I'll tell you one thing in this movie that upsets me more than that, much more than that. The only thing in this movie that truly upset me is the downgrade in Phoebe Cates. Why in the 90s they gave Phoebe Cates that terrible bob haircut. She was so hot in the 80s, and then all of a sudden she just got this terrible haircut in 1990. And it was the same for what was the one she did with Rick Mail? She had the
Drop
same
Dead
goddamn
Fred.
haircut.
Drop
Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened to her. All of a sudden the hotness is gone. Like she was, oh man, I had such a crush on her in the 80s, and then they gave her a terrible bob haircut, and it was, yeah, massive downgrade first. Sorry, that's a little bit dismissive, but it really
No,
is.
no, 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 no.
She
I
looks
mean,
so mumsy all of a sudden.
if you think about her, like in Fast Times at Ridgemont High from
Oh
1982.
my god! And
I know.
Gremlins in '84.
Yeah. Oh, and Gremlins. Yeah.
She's super hot in the first Gremlins. Obviously, Fast
Fast
Times
mount.
at Ridgemont High. I do
That's what you
apologize.
want to do. You want a fast mount.
Oh my god. But yeah, it's not a great haircut,
But
sadly.
what happened to Phoebe Cates? Because after like 1994, she didn't do anything.
I think
Like
she just got married
acting
and
wise. Okay.
she had kids and everything. I
I
guess the
don't say
bigger question is
what happened to her.
what happened to Zach Galligan? Like I just know him from this. I don't know him from anything else. You think he's in like two massive movie? Well, I know this movie. This movie was actually a bomb, which I was
Yeah.
surprised to read. Like the budget was like 50 odd million. It made there was like I think it made between 30 and 50. They wrote somewhere like that's what it said online. I was just like, So a 20 million margin for error. That's how insane this movie. No one knows how much this movie costs because it's too crazy. So
Yeah.
it costs somewhere between 30 and 50, but it only made 40 plus at the box office. And once you like take into account, not advertising, what is it, promotions and all the
Promotions,
other
yeah.
nonsense, and obviously the cinemas getting their cut. Yeah, I mean, in terms of a cinematic run, it was definitely in the red. I have to assume it eventually got into the black because it would have done big numbers on VHS and everything. But that's the only reason I can think why, what, 41 years after the original, there isn't a third Gremlins movie? Like, how exactly has that happened? Like,
So I'm
if
so
you go
sorry.
into,
Sorry,
if you go into, sorry, I'm just saying, like, if you go into like any shop in town, there is a genuine real world chance you'll see something with Gizmo on it. Like
yeah.
he's still in the
They
public
just
conscious.
released a Lego Gizmo. But
Yeah,
sorry,
Jesus
you asked
Christ.
two questions and you did your trick of asking a question and
Mhm.
moving on to another question before we got to answer your
Like to
first
keep you
one.
on your toes. Like to keep you on your
So
toes.
you asked what happened to Zach Galligan, and I
Mhm.
wanted to turn around and do my usual. I don't know if I can. I wanted to go, oh yeah, but I've seen him in this straight to DVD film or
I'll
this
go for
straight to
it.
DVD film. But no, mate,
Mhm.
he was in Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. I'm not too sure I've seen it, but he
Nope.
was this was after mine,
Mhm.
2 years after Gremlins 2. In Hellraiser 3, he was boiler room patron getting stabbed with pool stick,
Yeah,
uncredited.
it's not exactly
Yeah.
a leading man performance, is it?
No. And then the only other thing I remember him from, well, I say remember him, I now remember because I see it. Cyborg 3, The Creation.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Is that Cyborg is in the Jean-Claude Van Damme Cyborg series?
Jean-Claude Van Damme in the first one. In the second one, I think I told you before, was Angelina Jolie and Elias Koteas.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then in Cyborg 3, The Creation, it was you don't know this guy, you don't know this guy, and you might know Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah, I know Malcolm McDowell. And
And
again,
Mike,
if Cyborg, the first film that is pretty weird, but we covered that on the Hey Guys podcast if you want to
yeah,
give that a listen. But actually, a much more consistent movie than this is, without
yeah.
question.
And the other thing you said about I was with you. So I know they've just I don't know if it's stopped now, but the last couple of years there's
Mhm.
been a TV show, an animated TV
Yeah,
show on
yeah,
BBC
yeah.
iPlayer for us.
Mhm.
Uh The Legend of the Mogwai.
Mhm, mhm.
So but like Gremlins is such a premise that if you would have done it right, if this wasn't a bomb, I think we'd be on Gremlins 4 or 5 by now.
Well,
Like,
it's not just the fact that obviously, you need the money to, the movie to make money, blah, blah, blah. But, and I don't want to sound too corporate, especially given the movie we're covering here, but the merchandising, like,
yeah,
I would say Gizmo is one of the most merchandisable characters of 80s cinema. And you're
well,
just
that's what I
like,
just
if the
said. So
movie's even just like an okay hit, surely you're going to make your money back.
alongside the Lego Game Boy, they've just released a Lego Gizmo, like a
Yeah,
full
yeah.
size Lego
Mhm.
Gizmo that my kid wants. He's never seen the Gremlin films, but he wants a Lego Gizmo. So
Because he's super cute. I mean, other than you wanting to drown him or shoot him or kill him, which, make no mistake, as you mentioned, is actually sensible. As cute as he is, Gizmo kind of has to
so
die. Like,
I
he
did
really
write.
does have to die.
I did write that down. They're taking him home at the end of the film, and they're going, "Oh, he wants to know if we got cable." Motherfucker, it doesn't matter if you got cable. Shut your water off. Lock your fridge up. Like,
Just a bit of sense. He just leaves Gizmo on his own because he's got to go on a date with Marla. Martha? No, Martha.
Marla,
Marla?
Marla.
Marla. Yeah, he's totally lazy. Like, you get Kate, who somehow doesn't remember what fucking Gizmo looks like because she takes home that pleb gremlin, and she's like, "Oh, Gizmo, you're acting weird. It's clearly a different
Yeah,
one." And
I
you
know.
know
Yeah,
there's a whole bunch of them. I never quite get why, as soon as he gives birth, I suppose that's the only way to describe it, to all those other gremlins, they immediately all hate him. They immediately give him shit. Like, no one, he never has like a buddy. Like, not one of them just like, maybe we just give this guy a fucking break. No, they're all on his shit
yeah.
immediately. It's a
Why is
strange.
why is he the source as well? I'd love to, and maybe that Secrets of the Mogwai tells us about why Gremlins can do this.
I'm
Sorry,
not
we
sure if he
mentioned
is. It's just the others all end up dying.
we mentioned Marla. Do you know what her surname is? They never say her surname, but she's credited with
No
the
idea.
surname Marla Bloodstone.
Oh, it's a hell of a name. It's a hell of
I
a name.
know
There's the
it's
color of her
almost
hair, bloodstone.
it's almost like Mike Tobacco from last week, isn't it?
Well, Mike Tobacco didn't deserve that name in Killer Clowns from Outer Space, but we'll move on from there.
Oh, and sorry, I'm talking about credits. Who voiced Gizmo?
I have no idea.
Howie Mandel.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't think. I thought you were going to say like Joe Dante or something. I didn't
no,
see that coming at all.
Howie Mandel.
Yeah, that is random, but it's a very random film. And I was wondering sometimes, like, why did he go down this why did he take this approach to the sequel? And I think part of it is just like, I mean, for one, Joe Dante prefers this movie to the original, which is insane, but each their own. He directed it, it's up to him. But I think part of it is just that fundamentally he thinks the premise is quite silly, and they obviously send it up in this film. So there's like a great scene where all the guys in the TV studio are asking questions when Billy's trying to explain the rules of Gremlins, and they're just like, wait, so bright light kills them. There's like no water, but can they have like a little bit of water? They can't eat after midnight, but what happens if like food gets stuck in its tooth and then it swallows it afterwards? What happens with different time zones? What happens if you go to Iceland? You're absolutely fucked there. It's like the rules have never truly been explained, and they do question it in this movie. And of course, Billy has no answers because nobody has any answers. The rules are absolutely batshit, and even in this film, excuse me, even the rules they stick to are inconsistent. Like the whole thing about Gremlins can't be in the light. The sequence when they're filming the cooking show, and all of a sudden the Gremlins.
No, give it its full name. Give it its full name, please.
Go for it.
Microwaving with Marge.
Right. During microwaving with Marge, the Gremlins are quite literally bathed in fucking light for the entire scene. They go up to a fucking microwave. It's all light. They just open it up, and it doesn't bother them at all.
Not just bathed in light. Motherfucker is in a soup tub. Like,
isn't that wet?
Yes, exactly.
It's so stupid. And that's the thing. I think, we're having this conversation. I assume Joe Dante's had this conversation and just been like, this series is dumb as fuck. If we make a sequel, it's just going to lead to more questions, which we don't have the answers to. So let's just send it up. And, it kind of works. It kind of works. And
everything.
Who am I to question the director of The Howling, The Twilight Zone, The Birds, Small Soldiers, Inner Space Explorers? He's made some great movies.
I've actually I was saving that for when you said there's anything else, but you've already mentioned it now. I will go back to my original point in a sec. But Joe Dante directed most of my childhood. Like from The Howling, like you said, Howling, Gremlins, Gremlins 2, Explorers, Inner Space. Like they're films that I watched, not religiously, but I watched more than not on growing up.
I'm going to open quite a bit of trouble here by asking the question: have you seen The Howling and its sequels? Because I've never seen The Howling, and I know there's a whole bunch of sequels, and I fear that you may have seen a few of them.
Okay, so I've seen 2 Howlings.
Wait, so how many Howlings are there?
I believe, I'm just Googling it now, but I believe there's more than you would think.
I don't know how I haven't seen The Howling. So I bizarrely, I've never actually seen The Twilight Zone, the movie. And when I say he directed a part of it. Anyway.
Yeah, he directed one of the...
I think it became a film which was much more famous for like the fact that a bunch of people got killed when they were making it, sadly. Not the bit that Joe Dante was working on specifically, but Spielberg directed a part of it, blah, blah, blah. But I do need to watch that. But The Howling is absolutely on the list of movies we should cover on this podcast.
There are 8 Howling movies.
Get fucked. There are 8 Howling movies.
There are 8 Howling movies. The last one was 2011.
8.
So I've watched The Howling.
Yeah.
And you would think I watched The Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf. No.
Wait, the sequel is called The Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf. That sounds like what Gremlins 2 is. Like it sounds like a send-up of the first one.
But this is funny, right? So anyway, sorry, I've seen The Howling, and then I've seen Howling 5, The Rebirth. But let me tell you the names of all of them, because there's The Howling, Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf, and then Howling 3, Howling 4, The Original Nightmare, Howling 5, The Rebirth, Howling 6, The Freaks, The Howling New Moon Rising, and then The Howling Reborn. So the last 2 didn't even deserve a 7 and an 8.
It's Howling 3, Fast and Furious.
Yeah, Howling 3 didn't deserve an add-on title. It's just Howling 3. It's fucking insane. But
it's all over the map.
I remember liking The Howling. I don't remember liking Rebirth. But
I very much assume they weren't directed by Joe Dante, so we can allow that. But I know you've got a bit of a soft spot for Small Soldiers, right?
I don't mind small. We always get Small Soldiers and Toy Soldiers confused.
I'm mixed up with Toy Soldiers. I know you love Toy Soldiers. Another movie we've covered on the podcast. Small Soldiers is a film that I watched, I enjoyed, and then I forgot about it, and I've not watched it since like 1998 or wherever it came out. I love Inner Space. Again, we covered on the podcast. Some of the other ones I forgot he did. He did Looney Tunes Back in Action. He did The Hole, which was probably came out a little bit too late for us to for it to truly kind of attach to us, I suppose, for lack of a better term. But I watched it, and that's a pretty solid movie. He did Matinee, which I really really have a soft spot for, the one with John Goodman. And man, I totally forgot he did Erie, Indiana. If ever there's a TV show they should bring back, it's fucking
Yeah.
Erie, Indiana. But he's still a director. Supposedly he's going to do a follow up to Little Shop of Horrors, the Little Shop of Halloween Horrors. So
Oh, okay.
we'll see, we'll see. But yeah, Joe Dante, hit and miss like any director, but he's a lot of very memorable films, and many of which we covered on this
Yeah,
podcast.
he had a decent 80s. I would give him that. Like I
Yeah.
said, he did about 4 or 5 in the 80s, but they're all ones like The Explorers is on my list. I fucking remember really enjoying The Explorers. I don't
Mhm,
remember a lot of happening in it. It's all a build up to we have to build a ship, then we go to the ship and find the aliens, then we're home, and that's
mhm.
basically the film. But I just remember having fun with it, and it's fucking River Phoenix, Stephen Dorff, and another
Yeah,
guy,
it's an
isn't it?
amazing
It's like,
cast,
yeah,
amazing cast. But yeah, to bring it back to this film, and well, actually, speaking of the director, you can see that he's got that love for B-movie horror, and we talked about this a few times, films like The Blob and stuff like that. And there was that obsession almost with, like, in the 80s in particular, you had this move towards like new horror, I guess you would call it, in particular. And a lot of directors were kind of looking back to the 50s, and you had stuff like Tales from the Crypt, The Blob, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, that has a very 50s B-movies vibe. And you can see that he's kind of longing for that and kind of pushing you to change. And that's kind of visually represented in the film by is it Fred, the guy who's dressed as the Robert Porski?
Grandpa Fred.
Yeah, Grandpa Fred. And
Yeah.
his whole sequence is, and these are shows from the 80s and 90s. He's basically doing a take on Elvira or like Science Theater 3000, where they're looking back fondly at those kind of movies while making fun of the way the industry is going now. And that's kind of what this film is. It's a clumsy kind of interpretation, I guess, but it's unsubtle, but it's effective, I suppose, in the movie. But I really like I think he should have had a bigger part in this film. And I actually remembered him having a bigger part, but he just kind of disappears for a large part of the film. Then he suddenly kind of teams up with the really racist, lazy, stereotyped Japanese tourist, which I don't get why he was in the film or why he had to be brought back and kind of team up with Fred for part of it. But
They
they
pulled
then just disappear again.
they pulled that dude from Police Academy 4.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
as if I can't remember which one it was, but it was basically the one where he fell in love with the really big chested police officer.
Yeah. He becomes
Yeah, I
obsessed
can't
with
remember
her.
her
Yeah.
name either. But it was the same basic guy. But you're right. Everything about that, like he's Asian, he's a tourist. Let's give him all of the video cameras or all of the cameras.
Yeah,
This,
he's obsessed with taking pictures. It's just like
yeah,
the old lazy 80s, 90s kind of Japanese tourist stereotype. And which is fine, is of its time. But why the fact they needed to like make him a character and team him up with Fred when Fred didn't really have enough screen time anyway? It just all felt a little bit pointless. Like Fred should have been teaming up with Billy, if anything, but he just kind of falls by the wayside slightly.
Fred should,
He certainly pops up at the end. He does that great interview with Brainy Gremlin, which I really
yeah.
enjoy. But the way they kind of set it up at the start, I thought it was going to be this kind of tonal and thematic clash between like new Hollywood and old Hollywood, which is, part of one of the many things this movie is trying to do. It's trying to do clearly far too
I
many things, and maybe that's the problem with it. Is because it's trying to do too many things. There just isn't the screen time to deal with it, so it just kind of disappears.
I don't even think Grandpa Fred needed to be in this film. It was
He
such a
didn't.
tonal shift. It was absolutely it was just nuts. It was like we don't need this. There's more. You're throwing everything. Like, all right, you got all the Gremlins. Why do you need a guy dressed as fucking Grandpa from the Munsters all of a sudden? It was just
Well, it's the same
weird.
problem we talked about, where if you take like individual bits of this film, you're like, well, I quite like that, but then I remember that it's too much of everything. Like you said, like I have nothing. Like I like the idea of what he's going for there, but there's no time in the movie to deal with it. So, like you say, it just becomes a distraction. And you're just like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck are we doing here, guys? It's like there should have been a greater emphasis on the relationship between Kate and Billy. Like, again, they hint at the idea that they're having troubles behind the scenes because of everything that goes on with Marla. That just disappears. She has like a moment where she's like, oh, if we survive this, you're going to be in big trouble. And then it's just like, that's the end of it, despite the fact
Yeah.
that he came back home and he had lipstick on his face and stuff. It's just like, oh, this is going to be a problem. Nope. We're going to try and keep this to around 2 hours. So there's going to be no time for that whatsoever. So it's just one of like 12 random, narrative strands that don't really go anywhere.
You mentioned the cameraman, right? Of all the people in this film, that dude is still fucking acting. He hasn't gone a year without being in something.
Awesome. Awesome.
Like of all of them, I wouldn't have picked him to be like, oh yeah, But
The
to be
obvious one,
fair,
yeah.
yeah, to be fair, like he was credited in Armageddon as Asian tourist. He's
Well, he's
yeah,
being typecast. Let's just put it that way.
yeah. Ultraman Rising was the last thing he did. Oh, I
Oh
know what I
well.
wanted to mention as well. I said about Christopher Lee having one of the best lines.
Mhm.
Actually, there's two things I wanted to mention. The other one that had a good line was Microwaving with Marge. At the end, she's talking to the Futtermans
Mhm.
about what you want to do is take your ultra processed fake cheese whiz product. Like,
Mhm.
how
Mhm.
many things do you need to
I
mention
mean,
cheese?
that's what that fake cheese from America. Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of it, but that cheese you get in a can in America, it's absolutely ludicrous. And sorry, just to jump on that, just because we were talking about things which are just kind of forced into this movie for no reason, the Futters,
That's my next point. Were the
unbelievable.
Futtermans were the Futtermans actually needed for this film?
No,
Of all the people to bring back from the original, they bring the Futtermans, which were basically B-listers in the first film, and that whole like thing. Oh, I'm here because I have a meeting with my old pals from the army. By the way, somebody sat on your cake. Oh, your dad's still alive, by the way. He's still an inventor. Oh, your mum says hello. They got a fucking phone, dude.
also, when they show up his house, it's kind of implied that they've been invited and they're going to
Mm.
stay at his flat. But of course, they've got gremlins there, so they can't explain that. So they just say, "Oh, sorry, you can't stay here anymore." And they're so passive. They're just like, "Oh yeah, no worries, we'll just stay somewhere else in New York."
Of all the
Absolutely
people.
fine.
Of all the people they can say, by the way, we've got gremlins, it's probably the guys that fought the gremlins in the first place.
You would think so, when you, but his, don't get me wrong, like I think it's like he's a memorable character from the first film. They're like, oh, we want a few additional attachments. But again, in a film as busy and messy as this, it's just another like it's I was going to say another string on the bow. Well, if the bow had 72 strings, yeah, that's the problem here. Like again, I don't dislike his performance. I don't dislike him being in it. It's just it's too much. It's too goddamn busy.
Did he go through AA between the first and second films?
I think he did
Because
because he was definitely a pisshead.
he was a pisshead in the first one, and in this one, all of a sudden, he's just like a guy with PTSD. He's like,
Yeah,
nobody knows, man. You weren't there. You weren't in Kingston Falls in 1987 or whenever it was. You do
84.
not 84. There you go. You weren't in Kingston Falls in 84. You don't know what I saw. They fucking drove my snowplow.
Oh my
Like
God.
what the
What a strange film. But this is a movie where like this building from the future just randomly has, say, a infestation monitor. It's like this is the
yeah.
kind of film it is. It's like, wait, no building has a pest infestation monitor, but it's just like, well, we need it for the film for a little bit of drama, so we're
What
just
what
gonna add it regardless.
what building I know has that magic wand thing that goes, your name is Billy Phelps.
Nobody,
Billy
nobody.
Peltzer.
It's very strange. But
Yep.
like I say, it's strange. It's like there's that. All of a sudden you're like, well, we've got to add a bit of drama to this film. We need an action sequence. So what we'll do is we'll put Phoebe Cates in a lift with some of the gremlins. All fine in of itself, except for when it crashes to the ground at the bottom. You're just like, well, Kate is dead. Clearly, she just gets out unscathed. I'm like, no, 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 no. She would be dead. That lift crashed at full speed into the ground, killing all the gremlins. But she's just like, I'm fine. They kind of try and set off like it's going so quick that gravity goes, so she starts floating in the air, so that she lands more safely. No, no, no. That's just going to throw you into the ground and again dead. But she just hops out of that lift like it's no big fucking deal. But it's hardly the strangest thing that happens in this film.
Speaking of Kate, do you know you turned around and said, like I said, she's disappeared? Like
Mhm,
94 was like the year she was last active.
mhm.
And you said, oh, yes, because she's got married and moved on. You buried the lead to say who she married.
Yeah, yeah, I did. I do
Kevin
apologize.
Kline.
Yeah, Kevin Kline from
Yeah.
A Fish Called Wanda fame, if you're wondering who
Yeah.
that is. Yeah, they've been married for ages. He's quite a few years older than her, so I think she's like 62 now. I'm pretty sure he's like 78. So it's like he's an old dude, but they've been married for donkey's years. So yeah,
They
she
married the year my wife was born, 1989.
that's pretty impressive. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he knew what he was getting into. That's why he gave her the bob haircut. It all makes sense now. He's married her. He's like a few years older. She's clearly hotter than he is. And he's just like, listen, I've got to take her out of the fucking equation here. I've got to take her off the market. I'll give her a nice, mumsy bob haircut. No problem whatsoever. You knew what he was doing, Chris Klein. You sneaky bastard. Ruin it for the rest of us. Fucking dog. But yeah, so you again, you'll notice that we've not mentioned Gizmo in all this chat because he disappears for the whole film and then suddenly shows up with his Rambo First Blood Part 2 montage, which is goofy but fun. And you're like, oh, Gizmo's going to be in this for the rest of the film now. Well, no, because the last 30 minutes of this film really is that Key and Peele sketch where it's just, we're going to say a whole bunch of different Gremlins, and it's gonna. So the film up until the last 20 minutes has been pretty unhinged. The last 20 minutes is just a cartoon come to life,
It
and
is. It's nuts to say the least. Sorry
yeah,
to interrupt, but you
no, go for
mentioned
it.
Gizmo and then totally went off Gizmo, and I had to
Mhm,
ask when Gizmo showed up and he's crawling through the ducts and he's his Rambo self and he's made his
mhm,
boner and he has his training montage and everything and he kills Spider Gremlin, which is great. And
mhm.
Pelter turns around and goes, "Oh, they pushed him a bit too far." Is Tipex flammable?
Tipex. I have no idea. I'm not one of those kids who would have tried it. Put it that way. I was pretty well
His,
behaved, so
his
I haven't
arrow
tried to
is,
set that shit on fire.
to be fair, you said you weren't one of those kids. I'm one of those adults. I kind of want to see if Tipex is flammable. Like
Oh, just,
he,
just you see something. So I wonder if that sets on fire.
yeah. Well, I'm not allowed to mess with fire. I don't know if I told. I'm sorry. This is a total tangent. We're on holiday in August. We went to Spain, and we had a barbecue where we were staying. And every night we had a barbecue. We lit the barbecue. It was great. And my son was like, "Oh, Daddy, can I help you light the barbecue?" Yeah, it's fine. It's a gas barbecue, no problem whatsoever. The
Mhm,
the clicker's not working, so we'll just hold the lighter and we'll light it up. It'll be absolutely fine. But my son failed to light the lighter
mhm.
in quick succession. The gas is going, so I lit it for him, put it over, and we both got engulfed in a fireball.
Oh, so
Uh,
you basically went full Homer Simpson.
we
That's
both
basically
went
what you
full Homer Simpson. And so my
mean.
son walked away from that like he'd just been bombed in Vietnam, like he was on the beach of Normandy, just walking around like this. And so anything with fire now, he's like, "Daddy, I'm not helping you." I said, "Good,
Well,
maybe
I
like,
mean, he
yeah,
survived the ordeal, which is the important thing, and it's probably taught him to be very careful of fire. So we'll put
yes,
that down in the win
yeah,
column. Maybe not the ideal way to go about it, but the whole point with kids is scaring them off certain things. The roads are scary, guys in vans, steer clear of those. Fire, you
yeah,
want to be careful of that. Yeah, just kind of like put him in an explosion. He
yeah."
survived. He's got all his limbs. He's like, yeah, it probably will be. So we'll put that down as a long-term win for sure.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. But yeah, you mentioned the fact there's, towards the end, we've already listed a whole bunch of the gremlins. I totally thought there was Al Capone gremlin. I don't know why.
Yeah, Al Capone Gremlin. Yoda apparently needed money, so he dressed up as a woman for this film. Like,
I mean, the whole female, like, that's a weird thing, like, when you stop and think about it, because I have to assume that without genetic interference, there are no female gremlins. There's no need for them. Like, they're like, I don't know, what, fucking seahorses or whatever. It's like the dudes are all giving birth. They don't need to have sex. It's an evolutionary trait. We don't need women, so they're gone. So you get one female gremlin, and she, like Marla, is down to fuck. And if you don't think, like, the last 20 minutes of this movie is strange enough, it literally ends with Forster, who might be the closest thing we get to a bad guy in this film, being apparently sexually abused by a female gremlin. This is the second podcast in a row we've had with a weird sex scene with, like, basically a monster. So it happened in Killer Clowns from Outer Space, where out of the fucking blue, the two moron twins end up
oh
having
yeah,
sex
yeah.
with the giant boobed female clowns. And in this film, not only does he get forced into sex, he gets forced into marriage. What the fuck is going on with this film?
But like that film as well, where they decide to fuck the two weirdest guys. Do you really want to fuck the Doctor from Star Trek Voyager of all the people in that film?
Well, it's a gremlin. She's just got her hands on the furs, and again, it's cross species, which I'm sure Brainy Gremlin would have had a lot to say about.
But
But
to be fair, by the end of it, he is clearly down to fuck.
oh,
Like,
by the end, he has that little
yeah,
look on his face where he's just like, maybe I'll do this.
yeah.
I don't know.
So if bodily fluids get thrown around,
Mhm.
does she get wet? Does she?
What? Why did she get
No,
wet? Jesus, that's
not
so
wet,
crass.
not wet like that.
Oh,
If
sorry, I
bodily
see what
fluid,
you mean.
no, no, no,
In
no,
the
no.
more literal sense,
In
I
the
see
more
what you
literal
mean.
sense, if bodily fluids are thrown around and some splashes on her,
Sorry, the way you said that, I
yeah,
was like, "Fuck, that is the most crass thing you said on this
yeah,
podcast."
no,
Bar none. But no, I see what you mean there.
yes,
Uh, Again, you feel like there's like hints of what it would mean to have kind of cross pollination. You know, it's like you have that speech with the smart gremlin to start with. It's like, oh, can I have a word with you? And then goes off on one and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think at any point he got into the whole what would be the impact of sexual interactions between humans and gremlins. But the most physical aspect of, like you say, finishing is that, but that's the thing. We talked earlier about the soup. The soup is wet. I think it has to be water. So if we just allow that as one of the rules, Coke won't do the trick. It just has to be water specifically.
H2O. So not saliva or anything.
Or let's be clear what we're getting at here. Cum. Cum won't do the trick. We don't know what that will lead to. We're talking about a genetically modified female gremlin having sex with a human dude. What that will lead to, we don't think it's going to lead to the immediate gremlin reaction to water. We'll say, okay, that only works with water. 9 months down the line, I don't know what the fuck you're going to get, but it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. Ugh, gross. But yeah, I think we can all agree that despite the gargoyle gremlin, despite the electricity gremlin, which, yeah, like you said, the whole plan at the end is predicated on it being stuck in the phone like a fucking Black Mirror episode and then getting shot at all the gremlins as they're getting rained on by the security system. The one that like stands out without question is Brainy Gremlin, yeah? And his voice is amazing. His accent, however, I was like, what are they going for? So he's voiced by Tony Randolph from The Odd Couple. He's born in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Is he trying to do a kind of British accent? I couldn't quite put my finger on it. It's iconic, but strange, to say the least.
So I thought he was just trying to be like 1940s-esque.
Maybe.
Yeah, like Breakfast at Tiffany style, or 1960s. 40s. I don't know, but for like the old age of cinema, the golden age of cinema. I thought that's what he was trying to improvise.
Well, I love it when he just suddenly pops up and just out of nowhere he's got a pair of glasses. There's a whole load of that at the end of the film. Like all of a sudden, half the gremlins are armed with munitions. I know this is like a magic building. Where the fuck are they getting firearms from? I have no idea whatsoever.
You didn't see the firearm shop on level 52.
Of course.
Yeah, we only got to level 51 where the genetics lab was. I mean, further on. Oh, and also the mailman, the postie that's singing the Gizmo song.
Oh yeah.
Is I mean,
Breaking Bad.
Name, yeah, I wasn't going to go Breaking Bad. I was going to go Alien Resurrection. He's
Alien Resurrection's rough, man. I just finished Alien Earth, actually. I quite enjoyed Alien Earth.
So how about I won't go Alien Resurrection. I'll go. He was Robert Patrick's partner in From Dusk Till Dawn 2.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's much more befitting of this. But I was like, where's he going to go? Is Robert Patrick's partner? Is this going to be like some kind of gay, kind of erotic thriller I've never heard of? No. He means
how about for the both of us, Ramirez and Under Siege?
There we go. That's absolutely fine. But the thing is, I'm fully aware that if you haven't watched this movie recently, or God forbid, if you've never seen it before, you're going to listen to this podcast and it's going to sound like Rob and I are having a stroke because we keep jumping around like lunatics. The problem is there's no other way to go through this movie without jumping around like a lunatic because that's exactly what happens in the movie. It's, all of a sudden, like you said, there was the female gremlin. There's a musical number, which is brilliant in and of itself. I thought it was very Fred Astaire initially, but it's actually a direct lift of 1934's Dames with Dick Powell. And it's just like, at this point, Joe Dante, no wonder he probably prefers this film. He's just putting up on screen everything he loves about cinema. He's gone absolutely insane with money and power at this point.
I wondered where you were going then. I'm a little bit glad you put Powell on the end of that title.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, because I wondered where you were going with that.
Well, I mean, this podcast is in danger of taking a dark turn already. And speaking of dark turns, actually, another thing this movie sends up is Kate's speech from the first film. So all of a sudden, she's like, was it Lincoln's birthday speech? Yeah. She's like, oh, she's obviously, the famous speech from the first film is her father getting killed on Christmas Eve, pretending to be Santa, falling down the chimney and breaking his neck. Super iconic sequence and surprisingly dark. In this film, she starts to do another one of the speeches and they just kind of just wheel her off as if to say, it wasn't that funny. I'm just like, are we really going to go that far in terms of sending up the first film? That scene is super iconic.
I thought she was going to
light of it.
I thought she was going to Lincoln sexually assaulted me. That's where I thought that was going.
Honestly, that wouldn't be much darker than her speech from the first film. If you can't remember her speech from the first film, go onto Google, type in Kate's speech from Gremlins, and it is properly dark. You got to remember again, this is a movie that's the whole thing about the first Gremlins film. It's kind of similar to like Poltergeist because there wasn't 12A. So I think 12A was brought in for was it either
Spider-Man
it was
2.
either
Spider-Man 1.
well yeah, but I
12A for
think
us was Spider-Man.
oh, but I think there was like a PG-13 thing or 12 they brought in, and it was either for Poltergeist or it was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It was one of those because
Oh,
we were watching
sorry.
films.
Yeah, not 12A, 12. So 12 and
12,
above.
sorry, my
Yeah.
apologies.
12A came in that you could take any kid under 12 as long as it was
Yeah,
adult supervision. Yeah.
but that's the thing for films like Gremlins and Poltergeist, everyone just kind of assumed that they were kids' movies.
Yeah.
And they had elements of being family movies, but a lot of the stuff in those films is actually really dark. And I would say her speech is maybe the darkest thing in the whole movie.
But the thing about that is, as a kid, if you're watching this film, like we shouldn't have been watching this film, but we did.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really highlight the speech. The speech, as you get to be an adult and as you start paying attention to what's being said,
Absolutely.
not just what's on screen,
Mm-hmm.
that's when the speech becomes more fucking hell. That actually happened. But
No,
before
I
that,
absolutely agree.
yeah,
Like when I watched it, I think it kind of washed over me. And like you say, you suddenly go back to it as an adult. And we've mentioned loads of times, it's like, you watch Ghostbusters loads as a kid. And one of the reasons I knew I was growing up because I went back to it all of a sudden. I was like 18, 19. I hadn't seen it for a few years. And then suddenly I'm just like, wait, Bill Murray's talking about sex? Like all this whole sequence is about sex. And when I was younger, I had no idea. And I think that whole sequence was like, oh, this is like a funny story she's telling. And then, like you say, you watch it as an adult, you're like, oh my God, that's so messed up. So messed up. But I think we can all agree that a movie, say like RoboCop, for instance, which we all watched at like 8 years old, we just back to front shouldn't have been watching. Nothing changes about that. When Murphy is, what's the way to describe it? Tortured to death?
mutilated.
Mutilated to death? That was fucked up when I was 8, and it's fucked up when I'm 43.
Yeah.
There's just no two ways about it. Yeah, so I think we're pretty much at the end of the film. The only thing I wanted to add as well, just another example of lightning looking better in late 80s, early 90s movies. When the gremlins all die at the end, the lightning just looks amazing. It's something we've mentioned on this podcast a whole bunch of times. Some special effects have, improved greatly. For some reason, two things that just look better in the 80s and the very early 90s, I appreciate, is lightning and skeletons. It remains true to this day.
No,
an odd way to end on this podcast, but it's an odd movie, and we've already mentioned the end when Forster gets sexually abused by a female monster gremlin.
Yeah. Oh, just wait till my ending before we move on.
Cool, go for it.
It's not bad. It's just I can't miss a trick without mentioning this film. We said about Raymond Cruz, and we said that he was in this film, this film, this film. Of course, naturally. Why didn't I think of it? He was second billed in The Substitute. He was Joey Six, Tom Berenger's.
I love that. So I'm yapping away and just like, wait, I'm going deep on this fucking IMDb. Any excuse to bring up The Substitute. Any excuse. How we haven't done The Substitute yet is absolutely insane. How you haven't managed to pick that is crazy.
I know.
Do you want to move on to favorite scene? Actually, no, before we move on to favorite scene, surely there's got to be one this week. So Rob take. This is where usually Rob picks out something innocuous in the movie that needlessly winds him up. There must be a few things in this movie that wind.
There's a few things in this movie, but I'm going for the one that was basically 5 minutes into this film. Like I didn't even get 5 minutes before I went, what the fuck? When Forster rocks up to Mr. Wings or Wongs and his henchmen bring in a TV and they set up a VCR on top. They put Clamp's tape in. Clamp does his speech, and then they leave.
Total Recall style, yeah.
Yeah, and then they leave. Forster nonchalantly chucks the remote and says, keep the TV. Okay. They plugged in the VHS, or the VCR. That's all they plugged in. How's Gizmo turning the channel to Rambo?
I don't know. It's a good question. That's a classic Rob take.
Yeah, absolutely. How is he turning the channel to Rambo? And then Mr. Wing goes, fucking TV again? Like, no. He should be watching static right now because you haven't plugged it into any receiver.
And let's be clear, even if he had, this is 1990, you would have to tune the channels in to have any chance. And then you've got to be lucky enough that on terrestrial TV, fucking Rambo's on. So yeah, it's not happening. It's not happening. It's a good shout.
Rambo's on at like 10 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah. It's not happening, is it?
No.
It's not happening. Yeah, solid Rob take. In terms of favorite scenes, I mean, Gizmo going full Rambo versus the Spider Gremlin is pretty fun. And as I mentioned, the Spider Gremlin is probably the closest in tone to the first film, but it is hard to see past. Like when I think of this film, I think of Brainy Gremlin leading the New York, New York song at the end of the film. I still think of that as the iconic moment in the film. And
Yeah.
yeah, it certainly sums up just how strange this film is. But my favorite sequence is like the aforementioned dance number going into New York, New York at the end of this film. So I'll go with that.
I think for this section, you should just go into your one and not go with. Well, it'd be easy to say this one because four
Mhm.
times you've done that, and four times it's been my favorite scene, which is fucking Gizmo as Rambo.
No, it is. Yeah, yeah, it's totally fair. And like as much like I said, when I think of this film, I think of the New York, New York sequence at the end of the film. But the Gizmo doing the whole Rambo thing, fighting the spider gremlin is very much the movie I
I,
think I wanted to see here.
yeah, I mean, so I'll go a bit more deeper into what I wrote. So it was like
Mhm.
Gizmo going full Rambo, crafting the tiny bow, torching the spider gremlin, full on action hero homage, but it's
Mhm.
adorable and badass at the same time.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
I've never seen an action hero be that cute.
Hmm.
So I've got to give it to that for that scene. Like,
Well, that's the whole thing with the first film is like part of its brilliance is able to manage that kind of like it's cutesy and then it's violent and horrific. This
yeah,
film never like instead of going for horror, it goes from cutesy and well, it's really cutesy because as I said, Gizmo's hardly in it. So mostly it's just goofy. It's just 2 hours of just being goofy as fuck.
yeah.
And that's the problem. It doesn't have kind of layers. It doesn't shift in tone. It's just bizarre for 2 hours. But that leads into our loves and hates. So for my loves, number one, it's nothing if not utterly unique. For all of the criticism you can point towards this film, and we have over the last hour or so, it is absolutely unique, and there's nothing else quite like it. It is far from the kind of by the numbers sequels we were getting used to already by 1990. It's postmodern. It's very meta. It's absolutely mad. So you've got to give it its dues for that. Number two, the physical effects still look largely great. There's not much. I'm not sure if there's any CG in this film, but the Gremlins all look fantastic. They obviously threw a fair bit of money into bringing all those Gremlins to life, especially towards the end of the film, and it still looks brilliant for the most part. And number three, we mentioned a few times the wonderfully eclectic cast. I won't go through them all again. This movie's got a batch of cast, but somehow it kind of works. So
Yeah.
those are my loves.
No, that's cool. For me, they're pretty much the same, really. But for me, it's the meta satire.
Mhm,
I mean, the fact that it's gleefully mocking Hollywood sequels, the corporate culture, it's even its own franchise.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
It does it really well. The wildly inventive gremlin variants, brainy gremlin, spider gremlin, vegetable medley gremlin, bat gremlin, electric gremlin. I still don't understand how electric gremlin works, but
It's fine.
hey,
It's fine.
it's
We
one of the
do.
things that you
The
glue
last
back to
thing
the
you want
wall.
to, the last thing you want to do in Gremlins 2 is ask any questions. You just have to go with it.
I mean, the creative freedom is like the reason the sequel's more fun and imaginative than the original. More fun and imaginative, but not better.
Yeah,
That's got
absolutely.
to be the sticking point for me. It is more fun than the original. It
Yeah.
is more imaginative, but it is by no way, shape, or form better than the original film.
No, it's too
No,
strange to really
yeah,
like you said, you can almost enjoy it simply on the idea. It's like because, like I said, you so rarely get movies like this where they're given carte blanche, they're given final cuts, they're given a big band of money, and you're just like, well, make what you want to make. And like I mentioned at the top, the only sequel I can think about which is similar or comparable is Matrix Resurrections, and that is a very, especially the first half. Like, if anything, that movie suffers from going a lot more mainstream in the second half. It just
yeah,
becomes a kind of second-rate Matrix film for the second half. The first half is almost a little bit Gremlins 2. It's really fucking strange, and it's all the better for it. But it doesn't kind of, stay the course. This movie totally stays the course. There's no
yeah.
point where they're just like, should we actually turn this into a Gremlins movie? Nah, nah, nah. We're gonna have a big musical number at the end. It's gonna be pretty fucking wild. So yeah, got to give him credit for that.
That leads into number three, which is the Looney Tune style anarchy. I
Oh,
mean, the film doesn't just parody other genres; it becomes a live action cartoon.
yeah.
That's pretty much the best way
And
you
just in
could
case you
describe it.
weren't, I love it. It's like, wait, are they going to get what we're going for? Well, so how about we put a Looney Tunes cartoon at the
Yeah.
start? Isn't that a little
Uh-huh.
bit on the nose? It's like, oh, no, no. Everything in this movie is going to be on the fucking nose,
Yeah.
buddy. Ugh. In terms of hates, number one, just too far removed from the source material. That's the biggest issue. It just doesn't feel like a genuine Gremlin sequel. Number two, and linked to what I just said a moment ago, the humor is just far too goofy. It just occasionally could have reined it in. Like I said, if you mix it in with some scares, I think maybe it works a bit better. But the fact that it's just goofy solidly for 2 hours just doesn't really work. And yeah, I guess that's kind of linked into my third, which is loses all sense of horror and threat. And I'll throw in Phoebe Cates' haircut, which is an absolute fucking disgrace. And I'm gonna officially, even though I've got nothing to back it up, I'm gonna blame my husband for that.
Poor Kevin Kline.
Fuck you, Kevin Kline. I know what you did.
Right, number one, Hulk Hogan. Number two, the loss of heart and horror. I'm just not. I'm sticking to Hulk Hogan.
That's
I
fine.
hate
That's
him.
fine.
Fucking he pissed me off in this film. Number
Just in
two,
case if you're wondering what, like Rob's like a wrestling like hipster, so he hates Hulk Hogan, so it's absolutely fine.
wrestling hipster. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I am totally right. It's fine. I
Yeah,
don't mean that critically. Like I'm a hipster about certain things. You're a wrestling hipster. It's no
yeah.
ways.
Number two, the loss of heart and horror. So compared to the first Gremlins, it balanced that horror and sentimentality, but the
Mhm.
sequel just goes straight into the slapstick and the parody, and I just think it loses something or a
Oh,
lot.
100%.
Uh, you've already said it, but Gizmo's emotional moments are they're fewer and far between. The human characters are kind of sidelined in favor of the Gremlin gags,
Yeah.
which
Well,
leads into my
by the
making a
end,
change.
everyone's sidelined at
Yeah.
the end. It's
Uh,
just gremlin mayhem.
and number three, like the excessive absurdity and the humor, like or the push for the humor. Like I said last week with Killer Clowns, you see a clown themed death, great,
Mhm.
but did I really need to see 45 more of them? Like
Yeah,
it just pushes a bit too much.
there's a reason that Looney Tunes cartoons are like 15 minutes long. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this will be too much if we kind of keep at it. So they're short and sweet. It's like, oh, what happens if we did that for 2 hours, only it's live action and Hulk Hogan's in it? It's like, yeah, it's exactly what you think. It's all just a bit much, this movie.
And
Gremlins 2, a bit much.
I can see with this, like the film's cartoon logic, whilst intentional,
Mhm.
would probably alienate a lot of viewers. You've got to have the right mindset for this film, I would believe. So yeah, I could see where that's
Oh
going to go
yeah.
wrong as
Well, you
well.
can see why it's a cult favorite because it's so strange, but at the same time, you can also see why it, relatively speaking, bombed at the box office.
Yeah,
Because a lot of people, like you said, coming out of it, be like, "Wait, I was going to see a Gremlins sequel," and I guess it is. There's a lot of Gremlins in it, but that's not the movie I was expecting. And sometimes that works, and sometimes it doesn't, and it doesn't totally work here, sadly. Um, but I did mention a potential alternative title. I don't think that's a real one. Do you have any? Because I guess we keep just calling it Gremlins 2. It is actually Gremlins 2, the new batch, which always
yeah.
felt a little bit superfluous to me anyway. I was just like, Gremlins 2 is just fine. I don't think we needed the additional words, but I'm sure there are a bunch of alternative titles out there. I'm sure this is one of the weeks where we'll find a better one.
Yeah, there are. You just got to bear with me a second because I've
Noise.
lost them somewhere.
Listen, if like Kuwait just called it Gremlins 2, they win. Like Gremlins 2 is fine. It's like Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice. Couldn't it just be Batman versus Superman? That's fine. It doesn't need Dawn of Justice. We don't need the new batch. It's unnecessary.
Thank you for riffing while I found that. That's
It's okay, no
a
worries. That's
very.
what I do.
I mean, to be fair, there's a couple of weird ones, but it's all Gremlins too. So,
Of course, yeah.
Gremlins Argentina, Gremlins 2, The Next Generation.
That's better, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Finland, Gremlins 2, New Laundry.
Okay, that's got to
Yeah.
be a translation issue.
Yep. Germany, Gremlins 2, The Return of the Little Monsters.
No, too long-winded.
Hungary, Monsters 2, The New Pack.
We're just changing the title now. Psychos.
Yeah. I'll give you one. Gremlins, India was just Gremlins 2. So I'll
Oh,
give you
there we
that
go. Gremlin. India wins.
one. Where did I just see that one then? Where was India? There was India. Italy, Gremlins 2, The New Breed.
Yeah, it's just a play on batch, breed,
Yeah.
whatever.
Lithuania, Gremlins 2, New Gang.
No.
Russia, Gremlins 2, New Party.
I guess it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, this one doesn't. Serbia, Gremlins 2, New Bed.
No, that doesn't make sense. Again, it's back to linen and beds, all very strange.
Yeah. That's it. There was a
That's
working
it.
title in the United States called Monolith, I'm guessing for the Clamp Tower. That might have been
Yeah, that
yeah.
doesn't really work, does it? Any facts for this film?
Yeah,
We've
there are.
already covered quite a few.
We have. I won't go like into loads, but Leonard Martin appears as himself, repeating his criticism. We've said that one, sorry.
Yep.
Opening aerial shot, we've said that one. In a deleted scene, the Gremlins release all of the animals in the Splice O Life lab. During the filming of the scene, the monkeys in the lab were genuinely so terrified of the gremlin puppets that they refused to leave their cages when the trainers called for them. Like, fuck that,
Yes.
I ain't messing with the gremlin.
Oh no.
When Gizmo first sees the janitor, he says Gomez, referring to the Adams family character made famous by Aston.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. The filmmakers chose Rambo as the character that Gizmo was going to imitate in this movie. Sylvester Stallone gave his permission. Hey
That's
yo,
nice.
hey yo, yeah, yeah, good, good, good.
Yo, from their movie with the Gremlins, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Like, I think a large part of it is like, oh, say you wanted to do like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but how do you make Gizmo look like Arnold Schwarzenegger? Suddenly, you got to think about an outfit. Whereas with Rambo, all you need is the red headband, and it's so iconic. You're
Yeah.
off to the races.
Chuck Jones was lured out of retirement to provide the cartoon segment in this movie. I'm pretty sure you mentioned that. So,
I did at the start,
the twin brother scientists.
many hours ago.
The twin brother scientists in the movie were named Martin and Lewis, a reference to the famous Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin. The twin brothers Don Stanton and Dan Stanton, fucking Don and Dan, were also in Terminator 2 Judgment Day as the cop in
Yeah.
a mental institution getting coffee from a vending machine and his T1000 clone. We didn't
Awesome
mention that.
sequence. Awesome sequence. Best use of,
Yeah.
I'm going to go on record and say best use of twins in cinema history is that sequence in the hallway when he's drinking the coffee and then he like spikes him in the back of the head. It's awesome.
Chris Columbus was unavailable to write the script due to him directing Home Alone. I'm pretty sure they just said, well, we don't need a script.
No, no, no. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Uh, Gizmo refers to Mr. Wing as Key Luke, which is, of course, the actor's real name. I didn't hear Gizmo actually say his name, but okay.
Didn't notice that.
In a corridor of the Clamp Tower, one nameplate says Vector Scope Labs. This is a reference to the movie Inner Space, also directed by Dante.
That's pretty cool.
The face of George, the gremlin who turns on the microwave during the cooking segment, was modeled after the Kraken from Clash of the Titans.
Fair enough.
Tim Curry.
Wait, is that wasn't the 30s gangster one, was it?
No,
That's
no, that
different.
was one of the idiot ones.
Yeah, okay, fair enough,
yeah.
fair enough.
Tim Curry was considered for the voice of the Brain Gremlin.
Yeah, yeah, that would have totally worked.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'll probably leave it there. There's quite a few, so
That's fair enough. Yeah, yeah, there's tons for this. Hope to the future. So this is where we ask question: remake, sequel, let it die, live well alone. I mean, a sequel feels like it could have been made any time over the last 30 years, but I would happily watch a sequel to Gremlins. But when I say a sequel to Gremlins, I mean a sequel to Gremlins, not Gremlins 2, the new batch. So I'd like it to go back to that kind of mix of kind of cutesy slash horror, whatever they had going, which made the first, that kind of special alchemy, which not only made the first movie work, but actually made it quite unique. I think that's what ultimately made it stand out. And as I said, with the potential for like Gizmo and how popular he remains all these years later, I'm amazed that it hasn't come around since. I mean, it feels like one of those films, like if you go on, you could have gone onto IMDb anytime in the last 10 to 15 years, and it might have said Gremlins 3 in production. As to whether, if we'll ever see it, who knows? But dare I say, don't give it to Joe Dante. Jesus Christ. Let someone else have a fucking bash at it.
So your answer to a sequel to Gremlins 2 is no then?
Oh, see, that's tricky. No, you get me with semantics.
No, it's not semantics. That's the question. We watched Gremlins 2. Do you want to see a sequel of this
Gremlins
film,
is a sequel.
not of Gremlins? Do you want to see a sequel to this film?
No, I do want to see a sequel to this film because that's also a sequel to Gremlins 1. I just want to see it tonally shift back to the first film. So
yeah.
But I know what you mean. Yeah.
I like your backtracking. But this section is good until we do sequels because we always turn around and go, "Oh, well, no, but the first film, no, we're not about the cat. We're talking about this film. Do we want to see this film sequelized?"
Yeah. I know.
The answer is no. I don't want to see a sequel to Gremlins 2. I don't want to see a follow-on from this film.
Basically,
leave it alone.
What we want, what I think we both want, is them to do a Superman Returns / and they've done it with something else as well. They've done it with a bunch of movies where they just pretend that certain sequels didn't happen. So basically, Superman Returns, everyone forgets, is actually he's playing Christopher Reeve's Superman, and it's set after Superman 2. So basically, Superman Returns is kind of Superman 3, and they just pretended 3 and 4 didn't happen. And I can't remember. There's another famous series which did that, where maybe they've done it with Alien. I don't know. They were certainly going to do it with Alien, weren't they? That where what's his name, the South African director, when he was going to make
Blomkamp, they were going to go back and do a proper
sequel to Aliens. Yeah. They were going to pretend that 3 resurrections, all that shit didn't happen, and that's what I'd like to see. Is like, let's just pretend fucking Gremlins 2 didn't happen and just do another Gremlins 2, the bed linen version, whatever the fuck it is.
Trying to trying to stick to the rules that we have in regards to Gremlins 2. Just let it be. Just let it die.
Yeah,
I just think,
no,
yeah,
I'm with you. I'm
yeah,
with you. I am
yeah.
with you. I'm trying to time myself and not here because I do want to see another Gremlin film. But yes, I don't want to see a direct sequel to
Yeah.
Gremlins 2.
If you want to know
Um,
if you want a sequel to Gremlins 2, listen to Gremlins. Listen to the Gremlins podcast because we
there we
answered it
go.
quick. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. In terms of making a change this week, make one change to make the movie better, just to add a bit of horror. It's too meta and goofy for its own good. So yes, if you're going to go down this route, and we'll just accept that you're going for this meta, self-referential thing, it's like bring a bit more horror into this film. I think that's what's ultimately really lacking.
You have the right answer, but I went with Bruce Billy and Kate Zark.
Yeah,
Instead
it's a
of
great
just
shout as
react,
well.
instead of just reacting to the Gremlin mayhem, they could have had a stronger emotional journey. I don't know, grappling with their relationship, their career choice, the dilemmas tied to Clamp's corporate empire. Kate's trauma from the first film could be revisited with a satirical twist. And they tried that a bit, but it just
It
like I
didn't
said
work.
with yeah,
Yeah,
no.
no, it's a perfect example of like how messy this film is. That should have been like the core of this film is their relationship. And the annoying thing is they hinted at, but like everything else, it just gets lost amongst the mayhem of
Yeah.
the final act. In terms of video games, there was one made by Sunsoft for NES, Game Boy, Amiga, Atari ST, Commodore 64, Spectrum, and MSX.
Couldn't
It
get
was
past the
fine.
first fucking level on Game Boy. I never
I
got past the first level.
Yeah, it was nails. It had a really cool cover on the NES version in particular. Had an awesome cover. It's just like a full shot of a gremlin. There's nothing fancy about it, but it just looked cool. It had decent visuals. It wasn't an amazing game, but it was like a half decent. Sorry. Oh, sorry. So we're back now. We had to cut off for a second there, but anyway. So yeah, it was top down, had decent visuals, but like most NES games, it was fine. Um, I was actually thinking, like, Gremlins 2 would actually work brilliantly as a video game potentially, as it could embrace all the meta references and additional IPs. Like, if you really went all in on Gremlins 2 rather than just a NES game, you do something pretty crazy. I've actually gone for something relatively straightforward, though. I mean, I think it's because I'm currently playing Keeper for the Xbox, which is it's on Game Pass if you ever get a chance to play it. It's really strange, silent, like you play as a sentient lighthouse with his little bird buddy. It's only like 5 hours long, but I really enjoyed it. Simple puzzles. It's not trying to get in the way. It's all about the aesthetic and just kind of the experience of going through the game. It's made by Double Fine, but I'm not going to go for that game. I'm going to go for Double Fine Psychonauts 2 in particular, because that has all like the different worlds as you go into like characters' brains and stuff. So it's basically still a platform. You play as Gizmo, but you go into all these like different worlds and you really lean into the whole Warner Brothers aspect of it. And you can
Yeah.
have like a Rambo section, a fucking, really go like fully meta if we're going to do a proper Gremlins video game. So I'll go with Double Fine making a truly bonkers multi-world Gremlins 2 game.
I'm gonna go for Pandemic Studios Destroy All Humans. I
That's a
mean,
good show.
like Gremlins 2 is gleefully destructive, it's self-aware, it's packed with sci-fi satire. The tones are irreverent. It's plenty of fourth wall nudges and the exact exaggerated character archetypes. I just think if you're going to go from it from a Gremlins point of view, not a Gizmo point of view, but from a Gremlin point of view, where you just destroyed the fuck out of
Well,
Clamp
that's the
Tower, I
thing.
would go with Destroy All Humans.
Well, you could almost, with that, destroy all humans, and the fact that it's an open world. If you had it set in New York, you could almost turn the video game into the movie that they wanted to make initially.
Yeah,
So you could
yeah,
still have Clamp Tower, but you could just move out to the rest of New York and have the Gremlins run riot, and you're like head of the fucking Gremlins. Because I assume in this basis you're playing a Gremlin. Like, the
yeah,
whole idea of that is you're playing a baddie, right?
yeah. You'd be Spike. I suppose you could not Mohawk. I suppose you could be a bunch of Gremlins, like as you move on.
Oh,
You
dude,
up
that'd
it.
be
You
awesome as
become
well. You could have like different genetic interactions, so you could
yeah.
become all the different Gremlins. You
You
have
could
different
become
powers
Spider
based on yeah.
Gremlin. You could be yeah.
So you have like basically you have Christopher Lee working for you. You like I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for when you steal someone? What the fuck's the word? I can't think of it.
Kidnap.
Kidnap. Thank you very much. So you
When
kidnap
you
Christopher
steal
Lee's character.
somebody,
Yeah, I know, right? Jesus Christ. Well,
when you
when you're in the middle of a sentence and you're getting towards
oh
it, you're
yeah,
just like
yeah, I get it all
I
the
can't
time.
remember what the word is, so I'm
Do
going to
you,
have to
do,
go
you,
with
do, you,
steal someone.
do you know when you shoplift a person off the street?
Exactly. So you shoplift Christopher Lee's character and you make him work for the Gremlins. So he gives you like an array of like low kind of like they don't like last forever, but
Yeah,
these kind of like low impact vials where they give you certain Gremlin powers for
yeah,
part
yeah.
of the film. Jesus, that took me ages. I can't say one word and now I can't fucking speak. What the hell's going on? I mentioned a few times. Maybe I am having a stroke. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, needless to say, your choice is much better this week. Best and worst of IMDb. So this is where we take a random 1 star and 10 star review for this film. I have to assume there are quite a few reviews for this film. 722.
Fucking hell, dude. You 722.
Yeah.
He went backwards. It's 227.
What the fuck, man? The last couple of weeks, every time I've said a number, you're like, fucking quadruple it, bro.
Yeah.
I thought there'd be loads of reviews for this film. So, okay,
No,
it's
you
200.
said 722. It's 227.
Oh, was it? Oh, geez, I didn't even
Yeah.
notice. I just noticed how wrong I got it. Yeah, someone was quite impressive, I suppose. Out of those, how many people are giving this a 10-star review? I don't know, like 37?
Oh, 34.
It's a bit better, a bit better.
Yeah. Uh, I can't wait to read the 1 star. I just saw it again. Right. 10-star review. Written in February 2013, titled One of My All-Time Favorites. There are only very few films I give 10 out of 10. The ones for my Lonely Island sojourn, so to speak. But Gremlins 2 is among them. It has everything that made Gremlins such a nice movie, plus an amount of satire and craziness that has been rarely paralleled before or since. It's as much fun and as irreverent as Life of Brian. There is a single take or artistic choice I didn't like here. Everything fits. The timing is impeccable, no joke falls flat, and even the musical number is hilarious. The actors had a great time, it seems. It's the rare film where you can ham it up to such delirious heights. Plus, the film is stuffed with references to classics. I especially like how they carried one of the pods from Body Snatchers through the background in the biolab. My favorite character here, by the way, is Microwave Marge.
Sure.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, this film isn't as good as Life of Brian. It's not as well written. The jokes do not land in anywhere near the same way. It's weird because I don't think this film is particularly funny. It's goofy, but I don't think it's like wonderfully written or anything.
Dude, this is Joe Dante in February 2013 got pissed when IMDb and said, you know what I'm going to do?
Yeah, I'm going to tell
Yeah.
them why this fucking movie rocks. In terms of 1-star reviews, there'll be less, but I think there'll still be a few, right?
Whatever you're
19?
thinking, divide it. You know?
Just 4.
3. Nice.
3? Oh, Jesus Christ. I thought a few more people would really hate this film, but apparently
Oh
not.
my God. Yeah, so I had 3 to choose from.
Mhm.
Written in January 2022, titled I Want to Die.
Pretty recent as well. I love the idea they just found this film. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, he just got through COVID as well. He
Oh,
just
of
got through
course, of
COVID. He's like,
course.
I want to die. All of my worst dreams come to life. Would be a good movie if you were stoned out of your mind. I hate this movie so much. Save yourself and don't watch this.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah.
I want to die. That is one of the most scathing. You think of some of the movies we've covered on this. I don't think I've ever heard such a scathing review, and you wouldn't expect it for Gremlins 2. Although saying that, taking it to our own ratings and recommendations, I actually think this is a 2-star movie. However, I think this is a first for me. I am going to recommend it. I think it's my first ever recommendable 2-star film. I don't think this movie is particularly good. I don't think it works. However, it's so weird that I do think you should watch it. Even if you've watched it before and you have fond memories of it, I think it's worth revisiting just to see how insane this movie is. So it's a 2-star for me because it's such a departure from the first film. I don't think a lot of the comedy works. I think it's too goofy for its own good. I did, however, still kind of enjoy watching it. And I think everyone should experience Gremlins 2, despite the fact that it's not actually very good.
So it's
So a
kind of in
2
the
and a
vein.
yes.
It's kind of in the vein of the film. Yes, for me as well, it's a 2, but it's
Mhm.
also a recommendation. It's a
Is that right?
recommendation, like it's a satirical recommendation.
Mhm.
I want you to watch this film just to see this film. You can't know about this film until you experience it. It's so
Well, it's like I said with that dude, like the fact that it's only got 3-star reviews. Like I find this film like very disappointing from especially coming from like how much my attachment to the first film and everything. But it's hard to say that I hate this film because there is so much going on. It is relatively well made. It's got a good cast. The effects are brilliant. It's just too fucking messy.
yeah,
So as I said, it's like when you go back and watch this film, if you watch this in clips, for instance, if you went like full YouTube and you're almost just watching random clips of Gremlins 2, you might be like, oh, this looks fun. It's because it is in and of itself, any given moment is actually quite fun, relatively well made. It's just as a movie, it doesn't work. Nothing goes anywhere. It's totally inconsequential. And yeah, by the end of it, I was a little bit bored. So it's a 2, but like I said, it's surprisingly watchable too, but a 2 all the
yeah.
same.
No, I
So
agree.
yeah, bizarre word, but I think that's the first of both of us, right? A 2 and a yes for recommend.
Yeah, probably. I can't. Off the top of
But
my head, I
that's
can't
how
think of
weird the
any.
film is. I can't
Yeah,
think of any others. But yeah, two and yes for both of us. All right, so that's been 1990s Gremlins 2, the new batch. Next week is your choice, sir. What are you going for?
the substitute. No.
So there we go.
uh, I will get to that at some point. It is on the
Mhm,
list.
mhm.
Do you know what this film came about again for me, and I've had to put it to the top of the list because I wanted to rewatch it for a while. So it's 1993.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. 93.
Uh, yeah, I won't give
What
you the
came out in
director just
93? Not, it's not Jurassic Park.
no. We've done
Um,
that.
we've done that. All right, go for it.
So I won't give you the director just yet, but I will give you the main actor, Jason
Hmm.
London of Mallrats fame.
Jason London
Yeah,
of Mallrats. Who the fuck's Jason London?
he was in Mallrats with Jason Lee.
Sorry. I totally forgot his name. The guy who's not very gay. He's not great in Mallrats, in fairness.
TC.
TC,
Or was
yeah.
that hang on, or was that his brother, Jeremy London?
Oh, God. Um,
It was his brother, wasn't it?
wait, he wasn't in like fucking Dungeons and Dragons, was he?
Dungeons and Dragons was 2000. You're
Yeah, I
right.
was
Yeah,
going to say,
that's what
but
I
was
say,
he
yeah.
in that?
No, he
No,
wasn't.
no.
No.
Who's the kid I was thinking of who's in Dungeons and Dragons? He had the same fucking douchebag Curtains haircut.
The one who was leading that,
Yeah.
Justin Whalen.
Justin Whalen. He just had that
Yeah,
same look. A whole bunch of guys just had curtains from around that time. But
yeah.
sorry, I didn't know that was much later, and I'm just glad we're not doing Dungeons and Dragons because that film's ass.
Jeremy London, the twin brother, was Mallrat. So this is Jason London. So this is
Jesus Christ. Okay, well that makes you feel a little bit better about not knowing the
yeah.
name. But I didn't know he was a twin, so I have no idea. No idea.
Okay. Ben Affleck,
Ben Affleck.
Jason London, Ben Affleck, 1993.
You sure this isn't just Mallrats?
No, I'm just giving you all the Mallrats people.
1993.
Right, I'll give you one more actor, one more
Okay.
clue, and if you
Am I
don't get
going
it,
to
I'll
kick
tell you.
myself when I don't get
Do you know,
this?
I don't know if we've ever talked about it, but I think it's like up there in the zeitgeist. You would have known about it. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
seen it.
Okay.
Richard Linklater.
Richard Linklater. Not Dazed and Confused.
There it is. Dazed
Oh,
and
there we go.
Confused. Yeah.
Of all the people you could have picked, you picked him out of Dazed and Confused. There were so many famous people in
That's the
that
point.
film.
I thought if I picked any of the others, you might have got it. If I would have said Matthew McConaughey, you would have got it.
Yeah,
But
fair
if
enough,
you
fair
look at
enough.
IMDb, he is the first person on the list. It's Jason London.
Yeah,
It's
in
Jason.
fairness, yeah, I get it. That's why you didn't give me Richard Linklater first. So yeah,
Yeah,
as soon as I heard
yeah.
that, I was like, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, you've gone obscure. And in fairness, it totally works. I didn't get it. And honestly, I didn't know Ben Affleck was in Dazed and Confused because bizarrely, I've owned the Dazed and Confused DVD for about 20 years, and
Have
for
you ever?
reasons I can't explain, I've never watched it.
Well, this is your chance. Have you ever seen it?
Never seen it. Never
No.
seen it. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm so glad you picked it. I wasn't expecting this at all, but it's been unsurprisingly on my list for a long time. And for some odd, it's kind of like I had like a whole bunch of DVDs. You know, just ones you just don't get around to. It was like
Yeah.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I owned it for like 15
It
years.
was
And
always
eventually, one day I was just like, dude, I need to watch this. I've owned On the Waterfront for fucking ages. I've never watched it. It's just sitting
for
there.
me. It was always the 3 for 20 or 5 for 30 in HMV. So
Yeah.
you pick the two or three you want, and you go, oh
Yeah.
well, I'll just grab that one and that one, and then you don't get
They
around to
still
them for
do
a
that.
while.
I'm
Yeah,
starting to get suckered in by fucking 4Ks, man. All of
yeah,
a sudden, like I bought Blade Runner on 4K, and I'm like, God damn, it just looks so good. And I got Poltergeist on 4K. I watched The Thing in the cinema, so I got that in
yeah.
4K. And all of a sudden, you start thinking, like, I just want to get some of the classics, and you start seeing those deals in HMV again. And like, maybe I will get a couple.
Maybe I
I'll
will.
end up
Yeah.
with Dazed and Confused. Who knows? But no, that's a good choice, man. That's a good
When
choice. I
you
look forward to that.
when you watch this film, see if you can pinpoint the exact moment Ben Affleck in real life breaks his ankle.
Oh, I look forward to that.
Yeah.
Well, I say that I actually saw somebody break their ankle just last week. I was watching the NFL and the Giants play, and there's a
Oh,
guy called Scatterbo, which is it sounds like a made up name, but he's this really awesome. I want to say linebacker, running back, one of those two. He kind of does a bit of everything, and he went down injured. And I heard the commentator say, "Oh no!" And I looked at him. I was just like, "Well, what's going on?" And then I looked again. I was like, "Wait, where's his foot?" His foot was pointed
yeah.
completely the wrong direction, and you're just like, and I responded the exact same way. I just went, "Oh no!" oh no. And then my wife come in and she's like, what's the matter? I was like, don't look, you're not gonna like what you see. There's something about like broken, like I'm not squirmish at all about like blood and all the, growing up with these movies, but there's something about broken bones which I just
So you don't see loose ankle, but
Mhm.
he broke his ankle on set, and I didn't know he did. And then when
I
I
love the way you
read,
described it as loose ankle.
well, because I'll go into a story before we finish, but you don't see loose ankle, but there is a scene where he gets a bit over exuberant,
Mhm.
and he breaks his ankle.
Okay,
But
I'll
you'll
keep
have
an
to
eye
see
out
if
for
you
that for
yeah.
sure.
Uh, Well, the reason why I say loose ankle is, my history with my knee.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was a 17/18-year-old silly boy, and I shattered my kneecap and fractured my bone, my
Oof.
tibia from top to bottom. What's the bone on the bottom part of the leg? Is it
Tibia,
tibia,
yeah,
fibia?
fibia
Yeah,
is the higher one, I think. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So anyway, the one under my knee,
Mhm.
split that straight down the middle. So I
Mhm.
got nine. But because I shattered the kneecap.
Mhm.
Uh, I had loose leg. So
Oh.
me and my friend would just be while we're waiting for the ambulance in Spain, by the way. So we can't speak any of the
So it was the
language.
main one. So sorry, I did mix it up. Tibia and fibia are both below the knee. So it's the femur's
Yeah,
above the knee. So it's like the fibia is the smaller bone, and the tibia is, where your shin and everything is,
yeah. So it's the
basically.
tibia. I fucked up. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
So yeah. So basically, the it came apart from the knee. So my friend
Oh,
was able to move my leg 180 because I had no feeling in it. So he sat there. He's
oh.
pretty drunk, and he's turning my leg 180.
And
So
you're
just
just letting it, just
yeah,
all the
yeah, yeah. It's
ligaments
fine.
just
Yeah,
snapping.
yeah.
Well, yeah, kids are stupid. So yes, just one of those things. But that is a gross story. One odd way to end the podcast for Gremlins 2, the new match. But
Oh, dude,
this is where we are.
we nearly went real fucking dark with Wet Gremlin, so I'm pretty
In
sure,
fairness, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I just use your money. If you've somehow made it this far, if you've made it through wet gremlins and kneecaps, I don't know, disintegrating, do remember to give us a review and all that other stuff, like and subscribe, blah blah blah. But yeah, I've been Liam, he's been Rob, and you've been listening to the You Guys podcast. See you next week, guys. Cheers, bye bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.
Oh, and before I forget, where can folk reach us if they were so inclined to?
Well, you can actually reach us on Hey You Guys 80s at Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. But if you want to send us a mail, do heyyouguys80s at gmail.com. Send us in your recommendations. Send us in your thoughts about any of the episodes. Just literally talk to us. We'll have a one-sided talk with you on the podcast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're nice folk, get in touch. But no, cheers, guys. Bye bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.
Hey, you guys!